Yeah, my friends, welcome to Once Upon a Pipe. I've been dying to make this video because I had a pretty significant event that happened in January, and it involved my second oldest son. Actually pretty scary. But before I get into that, I'd like to take care of some housekeeping. So I have here my bent Morgan and Bones billiard, and what I'm smoking today is a blend by Joe Hampton Jr. called Burley Delight. I will put a link in the description of how you can get in contact with Joe and order some of your blends. Joe does this himself. He's not a brick and mortar, but he does it in his own home. And let me tell you, his blends are very good, especially if you like English and Latakia and some Orientals. Check out Joe Hampton Jr. Okay, you will not be disappointed. At least I hope you won't. I'm not disappointed. Joe, thank you very much for your excellent blends. Like I say, today is Burley Delight, but I've also got Sasquatch, Popeye, and some other stuff that I can't look at right now because I'm driving. And the reason I wanted to do this video, by the way, my son Dexter is stabilizing the phone for me, is because it's something that I had to do while I'm actually driving, so it will make sense to you. And it's called Life in the Slow Lane. That's right, Life in the Slow Lane. So let me tell you about this event that happened in January. It was Friday, January the 10th. There was a snowstorm that came through central Kentucky, and my second oldest son, Wesley, was coming home from UPS. He was at the stoplight to our subdivision, which made him only 20 seconds, if that, away from our home. He was in the left turning lane, southbound, and he was the second, so he had the green turning arrow. He was the second car that was going through that green turn arrow, and he was hit head on by a Ram 2500 truck. I should mention he was in my Honda Accord, and the Accord was totaled. I'm going to show you some pictures of that. Let me go ahead and put those pictures up while I'm talking so you can see what happened. So thankfully, Wesley was able to walk away from that accident. The car, as you can see in this video, was absolutely totaled. What happened to me after that is that I realized how close to death my son was. And that was a game changer for me. 20 seconds from my home, and I realized that where that truck struck the car, you know, if Wesley maybe had been a split second later, or even a split second earlier, could have ended up hitting him more head on, and just life would be drastically different. Yeah. So that put me in a position to have to find a new vehicle, and I'm driving that now. As a matter of fact, I'm happy to say I've had this vehicle for over a month now, and this is the first time I've had my pipe in my vehicle. Very first time, and I'm with Dexter, so thank you, Dexter.
First time you smoked it in the car.
Yeah, first time smoking it in the truck. So my truck now is officially broken in. After I got my truck, and I'm not going to go into that mess of what a nightmare it was for me to have to try to find another vehicle. But I started driving in the slow lane, literally in the slow lane. I started setting my cruise control and using that much more than I normally do. And I said, you know what? If I have to leave 5 minutes earlier to be someplace in order that I can stay in the slow lane, I'm going to do that. I did that for a week. Didn't think I'd make it, but I did really good. I did it for 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, and then 4 weeks, and then 5 weeks. So I've been living life in the slow lane. And I tell you what, a lot of it was just because it made me think about how much more careful I need to be driving. But I didn't realize the unintended positive consequences of being in the slow lane. Yeah, so it had unintended consequences that I did not realize. And they were actually, I should say, unintended effects. Consequences kind of sounds more negative, but they were positive things. For example, this blew my mind. After being in the slow lane for a couple weeks, I noticed I was not getting angry when I drove. It was unbelievable. The amount of patience that increased from driving in the slow lane blew me away. I found that being in the slow lane enabled me to better see people that might need help on the side of the road. Which, if I were in the fast lane, I'd be speeding past them, and I would, by being in that lane anyways, I would not be in a position just to readily pull over. And I've done that a couple of times. You know, from being in slow lane, I've been able to help a couple of people, or at least offer help. And it's also taught me like a valuable lesson about time. It's amazing how much stress I could put on myself by trying to save 60 seconds of time, and maybe at the most 2 minutes, because I found after doing this for over a month and a half, I have found that going from point A to point B in my day-to-day driving has not, and by being in the slow lane, has not really changed how long it takes me to get to work, how long it takes me to get to church, how long it takes me to get home, how long it takes me to get my daughter to gymnastics, how long it takes me to go to the store. So, unbelievably, we put ourselves through so much stress thinking that we're going to save all of this time, and so we get mad at the guy that's going the speed limit, or maybe even 5 miles under, and we get frustrated when we're in traffic and we're like all tensed up, and we change lanes and we speed past them, only to get to a stoplight and that guy catches up. It's just not worth it. So I started to think about the Good Samaritan, you know, from the book of Luke. And it just amazed me how being in the slow lane better sets me up to be a good Samaritan to those who need help, because I'm going slow enough. I'm not so preoccupied with trying to get someplace as fast as I can, and I leave early enough that I can actually make time to help someone. And I will say this is what I have seen in my life. You might experience something different, but this is what has been evident in my life the past month and a half since doing this. No matter who I have stopped to help, even that one guy that I was telling you about, Dexter,
Is it King?
yeah, Victor, that I took to the Keeneland, and then had to, because he left his phone in my truck and I was all the way on the other side of town and had to run it back to him. Even in situations like that, God has redeemed my time. You know what I'm saying? I have yet to struggle for time. Now, I find that absolutely amazing. Before, I'm in the fast lane. I'm trying to get someplace as fast as I can. And like I say, all of the stress that it puts on you in the traffic, when I know that it's not going to make any more than 60 seconds difference, if that. And I slow down, I go the speed limit, stop at the stop signs, right? Like actually a complete stop. Stop at the stop signs and do all of that. And you know what? I'm on time. I've been on time everywhere I need to be. I've been on time, if not early. And if I've had to stop to help someone, I have still been on time. So, God is very faithful to redeem the things that we think that are so important. You know, it was like Otto Koning was saying in his Pineapple series. The more we fight and try to hang on to something, even time, that ends up being the very thing we lose. Mm-hmm. And then the very thing that we are willing to give up is the very thing that God gives us in abundance. Just amazing. Even time. My challenge to you, my friends, is this. Just try it. Try to get in the slow lane. Set your cruise control. If the speed limit's 55, lock it in at 55. And rather than try to get ahead of everybody else and, you know, speed past that person that's trying to get in your lane, but, you know, you're not going to let them over because you got someplace to be. Yeah, get behind that person. Let them over. Let them be more important than you, right? And that's what I've found, is that I don't get upset anymore. I cannot believe how, being a slow lane, I'm not upset at all at the normal things driving that I would be. So I challenge you to do that and see if something does not change in you. See if it doesn't bring about some effects, good effects, that maybe you never thought would happen. And if you have faith enough to do it, see if God doesn't redeem your time. What do you think, Dexter?
It's a good message, man.
And Dexter can be my witness, because I have to take him to Bible quizzing, and we leave, and he's like, "Come on, Daddy, we gotta go. And I'm like, "Okay, Dexter, we're going 55 miles an hour." And Dexter, we get there when?
4:45, 4:50, usually.
Yep. We make it. So that's my encouragement to you. I'm looking forward to the next video because I have a special package, which I can't do that right now. It's in my truck. But I want to share with you that package, and also want to show you some more of Joe Hampton's blends. All right, guys. Hope you have a great weekend. As always, thank you for tuning in to Once Upon a Pipe.